Welcome back, guys. In today's video, we're going to go over how to watch the news and how that's going to affect your trading. So, watching the news, basically what we do for this, and this is part of my trading routine every single day, every single time that I'm going to trade, I look at a website called forexfactory.com. And what forexfactory.com does is it will show you all the major events, all the major news events. So whenever they're going to be talking about interest rates, or if the FOMC is going to be talking, or more bank rates, monetary policy, anything that's important, PMI, which is a manufacturing data. So anytime you're going to get a big impact news, Forex Factory is going to show you when that announcement comes up, and also what the forecasted values are. So whatever the forecasted value is, that's what you want to look at. So if this federal funds rate comes out and it's below expected, then you can expect the currency to do poorly upon this announcement. Now, things like press conferences and statements, those get a little bit more tricky because you run into a situation where you have to watch the statement or watch the press conference and pick up on clues about things that they say. Clues about if the interest rate is going to go up or if it's going to go down. So those clues require a little bit of a deeper understanding of what makes a currency rise and what makes a currency go down. And in order to learn that, you have to know a lot about fundamental analysis, which is, reading the news, knowing the underlying reasons behind why a currency moves, not just, the technical analysis. Like we see an impulse and a correction, so we're waiting for the continuation. Because behind any big price movement, there is a fundamental reason behind it. And this is basically what we're doing here. This is how we watch the news. So for today, there's a news announcement at 2 p.m. Right now, it is 10 o'clock. So let's go to the DXY. And again, this is a US dollar news announcement. So we want to look at the US dollar. So we go to the US dollar currency index and we mark it up. And we kind of get an expectation. So for here, we're approaching a zone. We're in an ascending wedge here. If we get out our MACD and our EMAs, we can get a better idea of what's going on here. Okay. So MACD is slightly divergent. We're approaching a zone and we're creating an ascending wedge. So what we do is we go to the news and we wait. So like I said, it's 10 o'clock right now. What you don't want to do is enter the market before the news hits. So if you enter the market like 6 hours before the news comes out or 4 hours before the news comes out, whatever it may be, if you enter the market and there's big news coming later that day, odds are price isn't going to move much. You're not going to get the big move that you're expecting until the news comes out. Because if these numbers come out and they're just absolutely great and they're going to raise interest rates and the currency is expected to rise, if this is just like a smashing report, what this is going to do is it's not going to sell. It'll break through, it'll correct, and then it'll continue upwards. Okay, so that's not our expectation. Our expectation, based on how price is moving, is for this to go back down. But we don't want to enter the sell quite yet. we want to wait for the news announcement to hit. And in the next 6 hours or next 4 hours or so, maybe this bar will be up in this zone. Or maybe we'll just continue to get nice doji candles like that to even more confirm the sell. Okay? So the main takeaway from this is that if you know there's a major news announcement coming, you want to go to whatever that currency, to whatever currency that is and analyze it and see if you think it's going to buy or if it's going to sell. So let's do another example. So that was just for the US dollar. Okay, we've got the Great British Pound. We've got a big news day coming up tomorrow at 7 a.m. So let's do something here. Let's just look at the pound US dollar, since it's going to be involved. That news announcement has to do with the pound. Okay, so we'll mark this up and we'll start to get what our expectations are. So you have a zone there. You've got a zone right here. Got price in this downtrend right here. Okay. And again, that news announcement is tomorrow at 7, so it's almost 24 hours away. So what price can do here before that announcement comes out is it can either continue down into this zone and then give us a buy, or when news comes out, it can break down out of this zone, correct? And then continue downward like that. So the key when watching the news is knowing what your different possibilities are, because there's no way for you to predict what is going to happen. You have no idea what someone is going to say during a statement. You have no idea what the bank rate votes are going to be. There's no way that any retail trader could know any of this. So you have to know what your possibilities are. So when the news announcement comes out, you can be hanging out maybe on the 15-minute time frame. And if you start to get like a really strong buy, then you can go ahead and buy. Like if these numbers are good and you're close to a zone or in a zone and price starts to soar, you can get in on that trade, get in on the breakout, and then you're in position for what could be a really big move. In this case, it could be 150 pips or more. This move could take us all the way back up here, 300-400 pips. It might take a few days to do that, but that's a really good position to get in on. Another thing that you want to do, usually what I have is I just have my news tab opened up here because throughout the day, unscheduled news will come out as well. News such as this. White House tells airlines it may suspend all China-US flights amid coronavirus outbreak. So this has the potential to move the market. This had the potential to move a market. Okay? So I like to have this open in a tab and then I just check it. And especially if let's say throughout the day you're watching your charts and you're watching something and then something just starts to go crazy at a very random time. Well, odds are you can check the news and the news is going to give you a good idea of why that happened. there's probably going to be some sort of breaking news about that country or about, politics or something like that. Maybe a natural disaster in the region can create demand for different currencies. So just being aware of all these things is critical with your technical analysis, but also we can branch this back to your risk management as well. You might see a you might see a setup that looks nearly perfect to you, and you might be tempted to risk 20% of your account on it. But what if that move starts going in your direction and it's looking good, but all of a sudden a news announcement comes out and it sends price shooting past your stop loss? Well, all of a sudden, for something you had no control over, your account is down by 20%. So it's easy to get overconfident, especially when especially when you're doing things like trading with this SMA, and your market structure, and impulse correction continuation. All this. That's a great entry. That's a great entry, and that's a great entry based on our previous videos. So it's just important to know that at any time, anything can happen for any reason. Okay? So we use the news to predict when moves are going to happen, because that's when a lot of volume is going to be entering the market. So your banks and your pension funds are going to use these going to use these statements and these news announcements to move price. Okay, so other than that, that's basically all there is for news. Just be aware, know your possibilities, and you'll be good to go. One other suggestion I have for you is, if you're unsure and you know that a news announcement is coming out and you're kind of unsure about what move to make, just stay out of the market, because the news can be so volatile that it can it can move one direction really quickly and then move down one direction really quickly. That's how price moves sometimes. So just be aware of that and you'll do just fine.